Good morning. Today is the 13th of May 2024 and I'm going to go through my trading idea and plan for today. Before we start, let's take a look at news to see what could be moving the market. 9 o'clock, which is right now, we've got Fed speakers, so these levels are only valid. If we see any movement, then we can come back to that near the end of this video. And there's nothing else really. Tomorrow we've got PPI, so that's a big event, and we've got Fed Powell speaking as well tomorrow. Wednesday we've got CPI, retail sales, so quite a lot of news coming out next few days. 8:30 again, we've got news coming out on, is that Thursday? Quite a lot of news at 8:30 throughout the day. And then Friday, let's just have a quick look ahead. And we've got the Fed speaking Friday. So tomorrow and Wednesday are the two big days for news. So let's go and take a look at ES. This is the ES 1 hour time frame, which is the S&P 500 futures. On my screen we've got the 1 hour time frame, and I'm just reviewing Friday. I was away Friday and I did take a short just there, and it hit 5R. My short hit 5R, in fact it was right down here, 5R, and I was at a funeral, so I was quite happy that it hit my target. I just left my orders in place, and then when I came back later, it was around about that point, and I realised that I didn't take out, that my break even didn't take out. So when it came back up, it triggered me in long, came back in, and I got out slightly better than break even. So a bit of an annoying day. That's user error, emotional error, probably because that funeral wasn't really concentrating. So a bit annoying that I made 5R and then gave 5R back, but still it is what it is. But my idea was spot on, my idea was right, and it was a breaker trend and confirmation. I'm kind of watching something similar right now, but I'm not going to trade while the Fed's speaking. I'll wait for the open. Okay, so levels for today. I've got a couple of high risk levels and I've got a couple of higher probability levels. So my first level I'm watching will be the break and retest of the pre-market high and Friday's high, these two levels here. We are breaking into supply, and I do have a level at 52.70, which is a potential rejection area. If we just go and look at this, look at the area we're looking at. We've got area confluence, where you can see bottoms of candles coming in, bottoms of candles, and tops of candles all along here as well. And let's just zoom out a bit. Let's make sure I've got the right area. So not quite right. Here we go. So 52.70 is a potential rejection area. However, it is an area of confluence where we've just seen it's bottoms of candles and tops of candles. So we can watch that area. If I'm long from the break and retest of pre-market high, which we're kind of breaking pre-market high in Friday's high right now in the pre-market, I probably won't want to partake unless we see a bit of a pullback into that area. Then I'll be looking to go long. So my first target will naturally be 52.70, and I've got a few other areas of minor resistance, but it's areas of confluence. There's not as much volume in those areas, but we do have lots of touches. So I was trying to find an area where we have had lots of touches of candles, open and closed candles, and I could only get 52.85 as a potential area to take profit if we're long, and it's a potential rejection area like 52.70 is. And then we have the psychological number 5300. We came into it up here, last time it was up there, we came in, and then we had this big rejection down, couldn't quite get there again. And then obviously we had 5300, we hovered around it for a bit. This is going back into March this year, and then eventually we broke out, and then we gave it all back. So we had the breakout here, what was that, that's end of March, and then we sold back off again, and we couldn't get past that 5300 again. So we can watch that area as well for a potential rejection. Volume wise on the daily, still below average volume, but we are moving up steadily, so not sure I'm too convinced it's a pullback now, because even though we've had decline in volume, it's just steady volume going up, going sideways. while the price is just increasing. Is there an anomaly? No, not really. All similar sized candles, only got a couple of smaller ones. No real volume coming in. If we're getting to an end of a trend, I'll be looking for a volume. But like we got here, we're coming up to the end of this trend. We started to see volume come in, and then we saw the turnaround volume coming in on that breakdown, and then we haven't quite. I still think this might be a pullback volume, but we'll see what the market gives us. And I just want to play the chart. It's strange, it won't let me do. Anyway, there's something funny going on with this Epic pen. But anyway, so that's kind of where we are right now. We're coming into this area of daily confluence as well, right into this area of supply. You can see you've got tops of these candles, bottoms of these candles, tops of these candles here. So I do quite like this area as a potential rejection area. We're coming right into it. We tested it on Friday and then we rejected, and we're coming back in. We're retesting this area of supply again today. So back to the hourly, I'll just quickly go and recap the hourly levels again. So coming right into this area of potential supply. 52.70 I've got as a rejection area, and if we can break over Friday's high, which will be that pivot there, 52.63, break and retest long, and then with a potential target 52.70. Bounce wise, the only bounces I can see is probably at Friday's low. See, I'm looking at previous areas where we bounced. We bounced there, broke through it, came out, retested there, broke through. We haven't really been back in that area. We retested it a few times, couldn't quite break above it, came back out, and then we came back and retested it again on Friday. So I'm just going to make an adjustment to that. So I quite like this 52.33 area to 52.40 area, this area for a bounce. And then if we can get back down into where this point of control is, 52.10 is, I'll look at that, 52.11, then I quite like the bounce off of this area here. And we came up into that area, we came down, big reaction up, big reaction down to that one. And we haven't really had the reaction. It broke out, came back down, and then we've broken up above it. So potentially this is a bounce area we can watch for a bounce. Moving up. That's it really. I'm trying to keep it simple. You see I've simplified my charts, but I've got rid of all the lines. I'm just watching the local, don't really care about levels all the way down to the bottom of here, so I'm just still tidying up now. Get rid of that. And when we start moving back down or back up, I'll be adding, I'll be removing the old and adding in the new, just to keep it nice and tidy. It's getting a bit confusing. Okay, look at SPY next. Got a few good levels on SPY. So again, I do like the break and retest of pre-market high. However, we are going into this area of supply, and I'll probably be more inclined to look for a short, but that's going against the trend. Just drawing the trend line. Depends where you draw the trend line. That's more the local trend. Let's look at the bigger trend. So we've got this in place now. So we're kind of riding up this trend line. So we need to break it to change trend. Get rid of that, keep it clean. Break and retest pre-market high is kind of where we are right now. So it's higher risk play now because we're right where we are. But if we do break and we come back and then we bounce off of those two pivots, which is Friday's highs and pre-market highs, then it might be a good bounce area. So in SPY, I'm going to keep an eye on 55.22.60 for a break and retest. 523.45 is a potential target, or we can watch that for a breakout into the all-time highs area. While we're here, let's mark all-time high. Just so we know, around 525, so we just know where we are. And that's it, yeah, so there's a bit of a void above. There's hardly any volume up here as well, kind of what you expect. bounce wise, I only like the bounce if we come back down into this area of demand, 518.40 to 519 area. This bounce is the only bounce I'd like, and we could watch for Friday's low as well if we come back into that area, but I'd rather it come back down into that area. We've got the point of control as well, and there's a big area of volume, so let's just draw. So we've got this area of volume all around here, so that can act as natural support as well. So 518.40 for a bounce, and then break and retest at 522. Let's look at NQ next. I've not tidied up this chart, so these are the levels from Friday, which are still pretty valid. So see, I prefer this chart for a break and retest. 18.336, break and retest off the pre-market where we are right now, almost. We got the point of control directly below as well. So we've got this red line as the point of control. You can see where the volume is, most recent volume. So it can act as natural resistance. And if we pull back down into this area, we can watch 18.235 for a bounce. And again, we're in this uptrend still, and the trend, we can't really consider the break of this trend until we kind of break through. You could say we're breaking that trend line right now, but the double top, it's all, but we're putting in a bit of a double top right now as well. So whether we're going to reject or whether we're just going to continue through, pull back, but higher probability plays to go with the trend. So that's why I quite like the break and retest of the pre-market high. And we've got a target, this area confluence here. So we've got tops of candles, bottoms of candles, tops of candles, and that's 18.416. And then we've got this bigger area here where we came up and then failed. So it's kind of an area of supply, and that's 18.500, which is a round psychological number as well. Let's go on to Qs next. QQQs. Again, exactly the same. Volume's declining near the top as well, so there's not much stopping it from breaking through, potentially pushing up into all-time highs. The only rejection I can see is 446.60 up here for the reject. Nothing else before. You've got this area of confluence, that's exactly where we are right now. I'm going to draw it in using this arrow tool. But you can see we've got tops of candles, bottoms, 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 tops, 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 quite a lot of areas. Area consolidated for a bit, more tops, and we're exactly where we are right now. So potentially, if we break through, come back and retest that area, it'll be a good long, and that area is 444 roughly. In fact, over that period there, 444.25 break and retest, and we've got our target sitting at 446 area. Bounce wise, this yellow line is the weekly, it goes back 24 years, and look how it's been holding it. So it's held it there, held it there, you could say it's held it here and there as well. Bottoms of candles, it's definitely holding it. And then we finally did break through, and we didn't put much of a fight up, but we came back and we retested it just there as well. Look at that, smack bang on. So we can watch that area for another bounce as well. So 438 area for a bounce, down to about 436, which is a hourly level. And we're back in that channel we've been in now for some time. So this channel, which is along there, and this channel down here as well. So we're kind of in and out. So we flipped the channel once, came down. Oh god, that's a really thick line. I'll leave it for now. Broke out, and now we're back into this channel again, and we're kind of playing the channel, but it isn't. It could be narrowing potentially, but before we finally break out. So just to confirm, 446 area for rejection. Got this area supply up here, and then the bounce will be at 438 area. And if I look for a high risk bounce, probably Friday's low, bottom of this area as well. So if I were to find a level, about there. And that's 441.20 for a high risk bounce. And we've also got 442 as well for high risk bounce as well. In fact, I'm going to go with 442 only because it's at the top of that pivot and it's at the top of this area of demand. So that's now demand, and that's our supply. So let's just draw it in so we can be aware of it. So what I'm looking for is where we have a change of colour and then a big reaction. So excuse me. So coming into 446 for rejection in that area. So quick look at SPX. I should put that. I should move that. I should look at that when we look at ES. Weekly. So we've rejected the 52 week, then we've broken back through it again. Let's go back into the hourly. I don't know why in the hourly. Okay, it says it's above us, but we know it's below. Levels to watch 5200. Let's just update that. It's a psychological number. 5300 up here. They're the two areas to watch for bounces or rejection. And that's it really. I'm going to get rid of the others. For now, just watching this. So if we come back down into the 5200 area and we're watching for a bounce, then potentially on ES. Loads. We're potentially coming into this Friday's low, this area here. I think it should be around about that. So 52.20 for a bounce on ES. So they're roughly in the same area. And this is the SPX. Okay, that's it really. I'm just watching these two areas. Let's quickly look at oil. We've got about 12 minutes or so before the market opens. Oil's come into that area of demand. You know what, I think I might just change the colours of my supply and demand, just keep it one colour, so let's keep changing it when it comes in. We came in and we bounced, and now we're putting in, potentially we can see a head and shoulders pattern forming. Right shoulder, head, left shoulder, any of these could be the right shoulder. And the neckline, if we were to form a neckline, how about that for a neckline? It's tops of pivots, it's also bottoms of pivots there, so kind of almost perfect. So 79.89, we know that number, we've seen that number a few times when we were back down here in end of April, end of March I meant. So that's my reject point, 79.89, or we can watch for a break and retest, and that happens to be Friday's highs as well, yesterday, Friday's high. So that's an area to watch. We're still below the 200, and so we need to hold strong. If we can break and hold above the 200, then we can look for longs. But while we're below the 200, we should be focusing on shorts. And you can see that area of confluence right now as well. So we've got bottoms of candles there, tops of candles, pivot there, and we came into it as well, pre-market high, and rejected it. So with that in mind, I do quite like the break and retest of pre-market high to finally break out over this 200. And if we see a bounce, probably a bounce down here on the right shoulder area, pre-market low area. That's it for oil. Let's take a look at gold next. We talked about this inverse head and shoulders pattern last week on the hourly. Left shoulder, the head, it can be anywhere around here. Right shoulder, neckline is our point of control, this line here. That's our neckline. I'll just draw it straight across so you can see an area. It's also a point of control, so it's natural support or natural demand. Sorry, it's not natural demand, but we are in a demand area as well. And we've bounced it, exactly bounced it in the pre-market. So what can we look for? We can watch up here for a rejection at yesterday's high. Area of confluence as well. You can see tops and bottoms of pivots and candles. Break out, break and retest. We came into it, we tested it, rejected it, broke out, came back down. If I zoom in, We came back and retested it again. So 23.76 for a rejection, and then we can watch 23.43 for a bounce off of this area of confluence. And if we get back down into this, and it's also the point of control as well, so you can see where all the volume over the recent months have been in this area. And if we get back down into this region, then we can have a look at that on an hour by hour basis. But I do like, I'm going to move that level to there. So it's 23.14. I prefer that to have more touches down there, pivots, more touches up there as well, and a few touches down in this area, and we got close to it there. And then higher risk, I'm not sure I can see any. Let's look on a 30-minute. I just want to look at the volume. So we had volume coming in the breakout, reduced volume here, a bit of volume now. Potentially this is a low volume pullback. This is and you could say it's a break and retest of the neckline area as well. So you can watch for a long around this area. That's an hourly, that's a 4 hourly. Yeah, it's already gone really. I think if we come back down to 23.45, we can watch it for a bounce to 43, that area there. And that's it. I can't really find anything better than that. Maybe a break and retest of pre-market high, but we have to get above the 50 moving average. Okay, let's move on to RTY. Got a few minutes left. Okay, so it came into that level. Look at that. Rejected, and we're right back up in that area again for the rejection. And we've got this area of supply about here, and that should be green. It should be red, but I'll leave it green for now. So the only place I can see, I'm looking left, we've got this volume shelf over here. Probably the top end of this zone, 21.10, 21.09 for reject. We could be looking at a head and shoulders pattern, left shoulder, head, right shoulder's not yet formed if we reject this area. So we can watch that area for a potential play. But I can't see anything else. Bounce wise, the only bounce is this area here, which is 20.60. That's only because we've got a lot of confluence, bottom of pivot, tops of pivots. We kind of came into that area as well, and we bounced off of it on Friday. So that's it. They're the only two plays. Lastly, YM. We're sitting at a rejection area right now. This area here. You can see we've got tops of candles, bottoms of tops here, bottoms of pivots, tops of these candles. So all I can see is a rejection here. We haven't tested it for a month, for a few days, so for 10 days or so. Yeah, and a break and retest. So watching pre-market high, which is currently 39.760, break and retest long. Maybe we could wait for it to pull back into Friday's high as a higher risk bounce, and then if we come back down into that area there, that's the best area I can see. 39.350, 39.400 for a bounce, and that's it really. Let's quickly look at Bitcoin. Wasn't able to break through. Are we looking at a potential inverse head shoulders, head, right shoulder, and this is the neckline there. Clear that. Or are we looking at just continuation coming up? lower low, lower high, and then we're kind of sitting in this no man's land, and you're either going to break out there to put an inverse head and shoulders in, or we're going to continue down here to potentially continue the trend. So nothing really yet, nothing I want to take. Area of confidence is just here, and that's at 64,500. And the reason I'm looking for tops of candles, bottoms, bottoms, tops and bottoms. So you can watch for a break and retest long or a rejection of that area. And that's it. So let's just quickly look at ES, see where we are in the last few minutes. I think ES has put in a new high in the pre-market. So it's moved up. Pre-markets are kind of moving away from Friday's high. So just to recap then, and then we're done. I like the pullback back down to 52.50 for a bounce. I would prefer to see it down at 52.10, this area here, for a bounce. That's where all the volume is as well, potential support. But also break and retest over 52.62, which is a pre-market high. And we can ignore that pivot now from Friday, even though I said we want to see it go, because we're now over that pivot. So I want to see it break out, come back down, retest this area for a long. And then we do have a little bit of overhead resistance on the low volume, and I'm going to draw that level in, and that's going to be about there. 52.75, we can watch that area for a rejection. And the reason I found that area is because there's more touches of the candles, bottoms of candles, tops of candles. I know we had one that poked through. So break and retest long into 72, 54, 55 area. Potentially that's a target, or that's just an area to be wary of. And then we're heading up into these all-time high areas above, and the volume's starting to decline. And that's it, really. Keep it simple. High risk 52.50, better probability at 52.10, 5200 for a bounce. And then we've got 5300 up here for a potential reject if we get that far. Might not be today, but that's a psychological area as well. Okay, that's it. Oh, hang on, I've got two charts. Get rid of that one, because I've got the levels already drawn in on this one. So that's it, really. Okay, thank you for watching. Next up will be the order flow screen, which looks a little bit like this screen. Or not. Left screen. That one there, sorry, I was looking at the wrong feed. So that's the order flow, and that's what I used to keep an eye on. That's why I've seen a little bit of absorption up here at the moment. We're seeing a delta, negative price, negative cumulative delta as well, and we're starting to see a bit of negative delta come in as well, but we're coming into the open and it can be all over the place right now. Anyway, thank you for watching and trade safe.